Hi, I'm Jennifer Dominique. Um, for those of you that don't know me, I was diagnosed in February 2017 um, with stage 4 cancer, believed to be primary small intestine, metastasized to the liver and lymph nodes. So basically, right now, well, just recently, we got back from Hope4Cancer Institute, which is in a part of Baja California, which is Playas de Tijuana, Mexico. And we were there, me and my husband, for 3 weeks. I was getting non-toxic natural cancer treatments and therapies. And the treatments were 7 days a week from pretty much 7, 8 in the morning till 5 or 6 at night. Some days it would take even longer depending on what appointments you had that day and things that you had to do that day at the clinic. So basically, but I know a lot of you have been waiting to hear my results so far. I'm not going to have all the results I want right now, but I think it's a very good start. Some good results that we got. So basically, they do a test. It's some type of a high-powered, colorful ultrasound that measures the blood flow to the cancer. They do that when you first get there and when you leave. So the results from that, basically, the lymph nodes showed 40% blood flow when I got there. When I left, it showed 20% blood flow. So that's a big improvement. The liver showed 0% blood flow when I got there. So basically, they said that's really good. I mean, basically, whatever you've been doing, keep doing that because it's obviously been helping the liver. So, and it's probably been helping everything because if one thing is going in the right direction, most likely everything has been improving as well. It's kind of hard to compare, this test to, a PET scan, something like that, because it's just two different, completely different types of tests. The goal is to get a PET scan and a CT so they can actually measure the sizes of the cancer in October. That's my goal. So I'm waiting on to hear back from my oncologist, my original oncologist that I first met with when I was diagnosed in Colombia. And I'm hoping that he'll do that for me. If not, we'll have to look for other ways to get a PET scan. They don't, a lot of times it's difficult to get a scan done whenever you're not doing chemotherapy or other conventional treatments. Let's see, basically they it also showed the size. So when I was diagnosed, my spleen and my liver were both enlarged, pretty enlarged, they said. When I got there to the clinic here in Mexico, my liver was completely normal size. So it was no longer enlarged. My spleen was showing 20% enlargement, and when I left, it was 10%. So even the size of the spleen reduced, which is a very, very good thing. They also did some lab work, thermography scan, thermometry tests. That's a little complicated to explain all that, but it can show some different things that are going on with your body, in different parts of your body. For example, it showed that I have a lot of toxins in my body, particularly my brain. The cause of that, most likely the chemotherapy that I did, is most likely what the toxins are. It could also be environmental toxins like cleaners, pesticides. They spray that like every day right by our house, so go figure. Different things like that. And since your brain has a lot of fat tissue, it kind of accumulates the toxins easier. Let's see, and also the test showed that my thyroid function might be low. Even though my lab work for the thyroid has always turned out fine, but this test said that I might have some decreased thyroid function I need to check out. And also, I need to work on repairing and healing my gut, which is basically your intestines, and that's where supposedly the cancer is, so that's not really a surprise. So basically, they've started me on a lot of different supplements. I was already taking quite a few supplements and herbs, tinctures, little things like that. And they want me to keep taking what I was already taking. And then there's other things that they're giving me as well. There's about 3 things that are covered in the 1-year program, like that they'll cover for me for 1 year, like 3 different things, supplement wise. But I have a lot of other supplements that I have to buy. Like, it's a lot. They cost a lot. Let's see. Okay, so one of the therapies, 2 of the therapies I'm doing at home also. One of them is called Rigvir Therapy, and one of them is called Arisota vaccine. Both of them are IM injections that I have to take once a week. Basically, the Rigvir, I'm going to post a video explaining that. It's just too complex for me to explain, but it's very, very interesting. So I really highly suggest you watch that to learn about that. It looks pretty promising. The Arisota vaccine is a type of immune therapy that uses your own body fluid, and it's to help the cancer, help your body recognize the cancer so that your own immune system will start fighting it off. Also, I'll be doing a treatment called sonodynamic therapy at home. I was doing that in the clinic as well. They give you this machine to do that. It's a type of an ultrasound machine. I'll post some information on that for you as well, so you can learn more about that. I did order an infrared lamp so that I can keep doing the infrared lamp therapy, and I'll post some information about that as well. There's a friend that has, because one therapy that's suggested to keep doing if I can, is called the infrared sauna. The infrared heat actually kills cancer cells and it detoxes your body. But she has something very similar to an infrared sauna that will work. So I'm going to use that. I just have to wait 48 hours after I take my injection so that it doesn't affect my injections. Anyways, there's, a lot of things that I have to do throughout the day to fight this cancer. Some of them are very simple things. You just have to make time for them. But the supplements, for example, is a very strict regimen. I have to stick to some things I have to do before on an empty stomach, some after I eat, there's just different guidelines for different supplements that I have to take. And so that's can be kind of tricky to stay on top of with 3 kids running around. I guess the baby's not running around, but he'll be running around soon enough. Of course, I'm still doing juicing. I have a juicer, which a friend from church had given to me, and after I found out about juicing, which was probably after the 2nd chemo, I think, is when I started juicing. So that would have been back in late March. And then a friend just recently bought me another juicer too. So I still do the juicing, which I can tell you one thing about the juicing. Within days, I noticed a difference in the way I felt after I started the juicing. I had more energy. I just felt healthier all around. Of course, I do the vegan type diet. I do eat some wild-caught salmon, nuts and seeds, veggies, fruit. I don't do dairy. I do eggs though, as long as it's fresh from a farm, something like that. But I don't do dairy. I don't do breads, except for I can do Ezekiel bread occasionally. I don't do any grains. I can use like coconut flour or almond flour, things like that. Of course, I don't do any sugar. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? No meat. Like, I don't do any red meat, pork. I don't even do chicken anymore. There's a lot of reasons for all that. let's see. Exercise is also really important. Taking time to get out in the sun and walking every day. Basically doing some kind of aerobic activity, and rebounding is something I've been doing too. We have a trampoline out back, but a neighbor recently got us a rebounding trampoline. So that's been really nice to use. Rebounding helps drain the lymphatic system. So it's really good for cancer, or anybody really, to stay healthy. Getting out in nature is important. Coffee enemas, that helps detox the liver. I can put some more information on about that if you guys would like to learn more about that too. Rest is super important when you're battling cancer. Let's see. So, and basically I have to do some deep breathing exercises. Prayer time, making quiet time for prayer and meditating on God's word is extremely important. Can't even explain how important that is. Probably the most important thing. Just waking up with gratitude. I do some herbal teas like Essiac tea, dandelion root tea, graviola tea. I'm going to try something else that I recently learned about called Jason Winter's tea. Also doing something from the clinic called recall healing. It's kind of like an emotional healing. Basically, I can speak to this doctor on Skype, and it's just discussion about, it can be things from the past, it can be things that have been hard for you to let go, any worries, fears, resentment, unforgiveness, just a lot of different things that you work on. All those things can contribute to cancer in a big way, surprisingly. So the biggest culprit is stress. So you really have to learn how to deal with stress effectively. Let's see. They want me to do acupuncture as well. I'm not really sure where I could do that or how much that would cost. So that's the big factor. I can't afford to do a lot of extra stuff like that. It's supposed to be healing. So I'm going to check into it. I am going to try to keep doing, I'm going to try to do it once a week. I don't know if I'll be able to afford that. But the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, they actually have one in Blue Springs and in Kansas City near the airport. I checked into that. So I'm going to try to get arranged. I have to get a doctor's order for that first. But if I could do that at least once every other week, I think that would be helpful. There's also a place, I believe it's Lee's Summit, somewhere in Kansas City, that has some IV therapies that would be really helpful to cancer too. So I'm going to check into that and see if I can do that every so often. That's going to be a challenge with 3 kids, figuring out where they're going to go while I'm doing that. Let's see, what else here? I don't know if did I mention that I was going to do a PET scan in October? Yeah, I've got to find a doctor to be able to order a PET scan for October to see how everything is working. So that was what's recommended to me by Hope4Cancer Clinic in Mexico. They want me to get a scan. They wanted me to just get a CT scan in October, but I really stressed that I'd like to get the PET scan because that's what I was diagnosed with. And I would just like to have the same exact scan to compare side by side to see what the progress is. So that's what I'm going to shoot for. I'm also going to check with the oncologist in Columbia about a capsule endoscopy. That's something that's like a pill you swallow and it goes down through the intestine. It basically has a camera and it can take pictures. So I think that would be really helpful. If they say my primary is small intestine, that would be really helpful. I asked about that at Cancer Treatment Center of America in Chicago, and they didn't really want to do it at that point. But I'm going to try again, see if that's a possibility, just so we can kind of know a little bit more. Let's see. I visit my naturopath next week. I have to do blood work every 6 weeks. Oh, another thing, in Mexico while we were there, I had to visit a biological dentist. An evaluation was covered with the whole 3 weeks. They check for mercury, root canals, metal that's in your mouth. Luckily, I didn't have any in my mouth, but they did find some cavities. I had just gone to the dentist in Sedalia right before I left for Mexico, and they said everything was perfectly normal. But the Mexico clinic, most healthcare places there, they focus more on prevention than we do here in America, which is a really wonderful thing. That's something I wish that we did more of in this country. So they let you know about it before it becomes a big problem. And I want to get that taken care of. I have a disc that shows pictures of everything perfectly. So I want to get that taken care of because it can let bacteria can cause other gut issues and everything. That's one big thing I have to do is focus on healing my gut, healing the thyroid, so many different things. So that's why there's just so many different supplements I have to take and things. Let's see, what else? I'm sorry again for the delayed update, just kind of getting back into the swing of things with the kids, getting home and everything. It was really hard to be away from the kids for 3 weeks for both me and my husband. So we just wanted to spend a lot of time together. The last thing I was thinking about was making a video. So I know you guys have been waiting and I'm so sorry, but I want to say, first of all, thank you guys. Thank every one of you that have helped in any way, shape, or form. It's just from the bottom of my heart. It just means so much. I wouldn't have gotten this opportunity, and I really do think that these things are going to work. I really feel like it's helping, and I just can't say how grateful I am. Whether you gave a generous donation, whether you gave, help with the garage sale, by donating or helping with your time or whatever it was, helping with the benefit dinner, buying t-shirts, selling bracelets, selling greeting cards, and just recently this last Sunday, the youth group in our church had a bake sale, and they made an awesome job. It was just really awesome to see people come together like that. It's really humbling. It's just, you just can't put words that will truly express how grateful you really feel for everything. I really believe that God led us to these therapies, and God is so good, and I really believe that's why I'm here today and I'm doing so well right now. I just want to say thank you for everything everybody has done, no matter what it was, big or small, it doesn't matter. Everything has helped. Let's see. One thing about cancer, especially stage 4 cancer, is it's a journey. It takes anywhere from 7 to 10 years for most stage 4 cancers to develop. So, it's unrealistic to think that it's just going to go away overnight. It's almost been 6 months since I've been diagnosed. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got diagnosed, because I get a lot of questions about that, how I figured that out. So basically, it started, my dad passed away on February 5th, which was kind of unexpected. He was 88 years old, but we really weren't expecting it that soon. The next day, I had my third child, Jackson, who was almost 6 months old now. And then 3 days later, basically that night, so it was a Monday when I had him, it was Wednesday night, during the night, I started having this really sharp pain in my left back flank area. And it was kind of moving up to my stomach, and it just made me have a really weird, sick feeling. It's nothing like I can describe. It was just miserable, and I couldn't sleep on my back or my side or anything. The next day, it just was still there. It didn't get better, and I started getting nauseated and threw up. And so I went to the emergency room. They did a CT scan. They thought it was like a kidney stone or something related to the childbirth or something. It showed retroperitoneal lymphadenopathy, basically enlarged lymph nodes. So that's what they saw with the CT scan. The ER doctor said I need to see a specialist as soon as possible. So I already had an appointment with my OB doctor the very next day because of the pain. So I went ahead and saw her, and she checked everything out. It wasn't anything OB related, but she said, just in case, let's send you to an oncologist, a hematologist, just to make sure. She said, I don't think that you're going to be dealing with anything like that, but let's just double check. So she made the appointment for me, and the soonest appointment was going to be 2 weeks, but there was an opening that following Monday. So this was Friday. This is the following Monday, they had an appointment, which would happen to be the day of my dad's funeral. So it was right after my dad's funeral. So after my dad's funeral, me and my husband had to rush to Columbia to Missouri Cancer Associates to get to that appointment. The doctor at that time, looking at just the CT scan, he thought it was going to be some type of lymphoma, like a Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, just based on that CT scan. He ordered a biopsy and a PET scan, and basically the biopsy showed adenocarcinoma. They said it was strongly showing that it was a GI-related adenocarcinoma. The adenocarcinoma can start in a lot of different organs, but the type that my biopsy showed it was some type of GI, but they didn't know which organ was starting it. And let's see, of course it was in the lymph nodes as well. At that time they didn't know about it being in the liver. I don't know if it just didn't show up on the PET scan or what, but later, 3 weeks later on a CT scan, it showed up in my liver. So anyways, where's it going with that? Okay, so basically they were going to do a bunch of tests, like colonoscopy and things, to rule out what organ it might be in. And the way they were scheduling things, it was going to take forever to get those things done. Almost a month just to get some tests done.